Have you ever looked at someone else's life and felt like yours wasn't enough? Maybe a friend has more money, a better car, a bigger house. Maybe someone looks more beautiful, more successful, more confident. And in that moment, you feel small. You feel like you're behind. Like life has given you less. Today, I want to tell you a story. A story that begins with envy and ends with truth. A story about why comparing yourself with others is the fastest way to lose your own life. Long ago, in a peaceful village surrounded by green fields and tall mountains, there lived a young man named James. James was a kind soul, hardworking and gentle. But there was one thing he could never control: his habit of comparing himself with others. Every morning, when he walked through the village, he noticed something that bothered him. His neighbor Smith always wore fine clothes, silk that shined in the sunlight. The farmer next door had land so fertile, crops grew taller than men. Even the children of the village seemed happier, running with toys their parents could afford. James? He had little. A small house. Simple clothes. And though he had enough to live, he felt empty. Because no matter what he had, someone else always had more. One day, while he was sitting under an old tree, lost in his thoughts, a wise traveler passed by. The man noticed the sadness on James's face. "Why do you look so heavy, young man?" the traveler asked. James sighed. "Because I am not enough. Everyone around me is richer, stronger, happier. And I am just ordinary." The traveler smiled softly. "Come with me. Let me show you something." Curious, James followed him. They walked for hours, through the fields, into the mountains, until they reached a valley. In that valley stood countless flowers, thousands of them, each one different. Red roses, white lilies, golden sunflowers, purple orchids. "Look at them," said the traveler. "Which flower is the most beautiful?" James hesitated. "The rose looks elegant. The sunflower is bright. The orchid is rare. I can't choose. Each is beautiful in its own way." The traveler nodded. "Exactly. Now tell me, does the rose ever compare itself to the sunflower? Does the lily envy the orchid?" James shook his head. "No, each flower just blooms." The traveler's eyes softened. "And so should you. You were not born to be Smith. You were not born to be your neighbor. You were born to be James. Your only purpose is to bloom in your own season, in your own way." These words struck James deep in his heart. For the first time, he realized something: he had wasted years not living his life, but chasing shadows of others. But change is never instant. Even after that day, James still struggled. When he saw Smith riding his fine horse, envy returned. When he saw another man marry a beautiful woman, his heart sank. The old habit of comparing whispered in his ears like a poison. One night, unable to sleep, he walked back to the Valley of Flowers. He sat there until dawn, watching the petals open one by one as the sun rose. And in that silence, he remembered the traveler's words: "The rose does not envy the sunflower." Tears filled James's eyes. He finally understood: every time he compared himself, he was killing the beauty of his own life. From that day, James made a promise. Whenever envy knocked on his heart, he would look inward. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have what they have?" he would ask, "What can I create with what I do have?" Slowly, his life changed. With his hands, he began carving wooden toys for the village children. They loved them. Laughter filled the streets as they played. With his small land, he grew herbs and plants that healed the sick. People began to come to him for remedies. With his simple voice, he sang songs at gatherings, and the village listened, smiling. James never became the richest man. He never owned silk robes or fine horses. But he became something greater: he became needed. He became loved. He became free from the chains of comparison. Years passed, and one day, as James sat under that old tree, an eager young boy approached him. "Master James," the boy asked, "sometimes I feel sad, because my friends have things I don't. How do I stop comparing myself?" James smiled gently, just as the traveler once did. "Come," he said. "Let me show you something." And together, they walked to the Valley of Flowers. My friend, you and I are no different from James. Everywhere we look, there will always be someone ahead, someone richer, smarter, more talented. If you live your life chasing them, you will never stop running. You will never rest. But life is not a race. It is a garden. And in this garden, every flower blooms in its time. The question is not, why don't I have what they have? The question is, am I blooming as myself? So stop comparing. Stop chasing someone else's path. Your story is your own. And if you live it fully, without envy, without fear, you too will bloom, just as you were meant to. Because the truth is, the sunflower could never be a rose. And the rose could never be a sunflower. But together, they make the valley beautiful. And so will you.